Hey, it's Jason, and I got Tom Kirkham here with Kirkham Iron Tech, the CEO. And Tom, I got some questions about monitoring software. Specifically, like what's your standpoint on it?
Yeah, you're talking about productivity monitoring to make sure everybody's not on Facebook all day long and or playing solitaire all day long. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, we had a news. This is what triggered this topic today was one of these companies that provides this spyware or productivity monitoring software uh, was compromised, and the company didn't even know they were compromised, but the company themselves, their logs of users were stolen. So the people that you're monitoring or the people they are monitoring, their data has been compromised. But what's the purpose of this software? The purpose is to use a technical tool to measure productivity on computers, and I guess the more cynical of managers would say we want to make sure they're not goofing off. And so I guess my question to you, Jason, is how would you feel working at a company that had put monitoring software on all of the computers? How would that, especially if you'd already been working there, like if Matt walked in one day and said, "We're going to have to put monitoring software on everybody's computer." How would you react to that?
I feel like I'd have a couple things in mind. First one would be like, why don't you trust me?
Yeah, that's the big one, right?
Uh, yeah, like I feel like I would exemplify that I am a trustworthy person. Why are you looking at me?
Yeah, what you looking at? Yeah.
What are you looking for here?
Right. And
Yeah,
so and so maybe it's, there's all kinds of different ways to phrase it and to couch it and to box it up and make it prettier. So what if you were told, well, we've got these metrics,
hmm,
these key performance indicators that tells us that if we can get another 3 or 4% in productivity on all of these computers that we have, our profits will go up, significantly. And it's not a matter of trust. We're just measuring to see where we can improve, be more efficient, serve our clients better. Would that sell it for you?
absolutely not. I, I
Well,
mean, me
I kind
personally,
of, obviously, I wouldn't say, or Matt would not say, Matt's
yeah,
president, by
yeah.
the way, just for those who are watching, Matt wouldn't say, it would be done in a whole different way. And I get that. It's, but it's a creepiness factor, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Even I think it's creepy no matter what. I want to know what the productivity metric is, but at what cost are you going to implement that software?
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's that costing you when people are feeling like they're being watched?
Well, I think it also adds like not on top of well, I mean on top of the whole like why don't you trust me thing. I think it also adds like another layer of stress as well too. Uh, I got like a method to my madness going on, you know? I'm not always 100% productive, but I do get a crunch in there where I get a lot of productivity out in a short amount of time. And it would just stress me out to like, do they see that point? You know, not saying like, like you guys, I've worked other places, and I've had experiences similar to that, but like obviously not monitoring, but like if they did, I'd be like, well, maybe you should look at the end result. Because regardless of where my time is being spent throughout the day, I think if we tried to force me to be productive at all times, we're probably still going to get the same result.
Yeah. Well, I would argue that it would be less. I think it'd be in the case of monitoring software.
Probably, well, yeah, because of the stress, you know?
Yeah, right. And putting stress on people, especially like that, I just I don't care how you're if you're measuring it and you're seeing that it's working, you're probably not measuring everything, right?
Mhm.
You know, there's probably things that have you've got an impact on other things that you're just simply not measuring. You know, we have this come up from time to time. It came up this week. That's why we're talking about it. And uh, the uh, the company said that we're only shooting for 60% productivity, and it's just a way we coach. You know, all companies try to improve their processes and systems. Going back to your methodology on your sales methods, uh, and you're right. The results are generally speaking more important than the process. Generally speaking, and of course it depends on what it is, and I don't mean this in a cybersecurity way, okay? There needs to be a lot more system controls and things like that. And it needs to be more planned and implemented and things like that. But when it comes to people, people are all unique to a certain degree. People, I've read research on, some people are more productive, like myself. I have my creative time is generally later in the day and early evening. My productive time from just grinding work out is generally better in the mornings, and I have a lull around noon, siesta time. That overall, taking a nap in the middle of the day sometimes is not unproductive for me. And but it's because of my sleep habits, and I can't remember what I'm called, but it's like a some sort of one of the research articles is some sort of bird, like a nightingale or something like that. It's something about nighttime, and because I get up real early in the morning, rather than I got to be at work at 8 o'clock and getting up at 7:30. You know,
Hmm.
I've always gotten up 2 or 3 hours before I had something to do, so I'm getting that shaking off those cobwebs, from a good deep sleep and all of those things. So by the time I do prepare, I can be ready for. I love to have early morning meetings. No one else does, but I do. Uh, but uh, but at any rate, that really gets back to it, and I'm not saying it's always a bad idea, okay? And I'm also not saying it's a bad idea with children. That's a whole different animal, okay? And I'm not prepared to address that. I'm by no means an expert on that. But when it comes to your company, generally what we find is there is a bigger problem, and it's around culture, management, leadership, governance issues in the company. If you feel the need to see if a technical solution will solve a productivity problem when you're dealing with humans. And I just encourage people to really think that through. Do I have a management, leadership, a culture problem in this organization? Do we all have it? It's not just the owner, it's not just the boss, it's not just the CEO, president, director, whatever it may be. Is there something else going on there to where everyone is not inspired to be there and to work towards the common goal? I hear this in fast food a lot, owners of chains of fast food restaurants. Not a lot, more than I like. And it every when I was a fry cook in college, I still cared about what the food tastes like and getting orders out and all of these different things, and how it tasted. Make sure I didn't do anything wrong, screw something up. Of course, certainly don't want to get anybody sick. And I still cared. So I think that contributed to the overall success of that restaurant. And that's just the way I feel. Now, some people would just call that a dead work ethic or something else like that. But I don't think work ethic's dead. I don't subscribe to that, regardless of the generation. If you want to label people a certain way, I think that most people have a good work ethic, especially if they're in the right culture. But if they're in a culture of mistrust, or they're trying to eke out every last minute of productivity out of you, no matter how much you believe in the mission, it's going to, like you said, it's going to be stressful. Getting
Yeah,
into
I can't
philosophy
think of.
here.
I
the
mean, I can't think of one time that I haven't been a willing workhorse for somewhere I enjoy being. You know.
Yeah, right, right. And then so sometimes, I'm sure Kinsey's our chief marketing officer, and I'm sure you and Kinsey, or maybe you and Matt or somebody, have had discussions about, well, show me how you're doing this. And the objective is to be more efficient, and not just you personally, but the company as well. So
Mhm.
they may have a better way of doing it, but it may not work with your style of work.
Yeah,
So then a decision has to be made. Now, from a sales standpoint, you've been watching some of the Sandler videos, right?
yeah, yeah,
Sandler sales
yeah.
training.
Some good
Uh,
stuff in there.
oh yeah, they're one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one in the world on training. That is a system, and these are proven techniques to maximize the success of sales. So I'm not saying, let everybody do everything willy nilly. But what you realize is that, oh, these are really great tactical techniques that I can work into me, my style, my personality, the things that I believe in furtherance of making the company more successful. That's all I'm saying. So, probably a lot headier conversation, and you probably don't want to hear nerds talking about that, but it goes back to always looking for a technical solution for a people problem is the wrong approach. Just because you can solve something technically doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. That's all I'm saying.